Hello, world, and welcome to another podcast of It's Not You, It's Autoimmune with your host, Dr. Jocelyne Eberstein. Dr. Jocelyne Eberstein has over 25 years of experience as a doctor of Oriental medicine, medical acupuncture, and functional medicine practitioner. As a community, we are stronger and wiser. You got this, America, where good health is just a podcast away.
Hello, and thanks for joining us today, our loyal listeners and our first-time health seekers. Welcome back to It's Not You, It's Autoimmune. I'm your host, Dr. Jocelyne Eberstein, and I've had over 25 years of experience as a doctor of Oriental medicine, functional medicine practitioner, and a licensed acupuncturist. And you have the opportunity today to be informed, inspired, entertained, and empowered. So I founded the E-Center Wellness Clinic in 1990 in Los Angeles, and I believe good health is your birthright. I'm here to empower you to get healthy, truly healthy, stay healthy, and live a robust life and have the health you've always wanted. Today we'll be discussing you are what you eat, and can what we put in our bellies heal our brains? And does our diet affect our moods? These are questions that are being discussed right now by the nutritional psychiatrist. And today we'll be talking about mood food and speaking with our special guest, 5-star award-winning chef David Codney from Peninsula Beverly Hills Hotel and international consultant for the Peninsula Brand. So, in our previous episodes, we've been discussing the pandemic. COVID pandemic. We're scared, we're frightened, we're confused, and now we're totally stressed by the media and all the conflicting data. It's confusing, and we don't know what to do. And on top of that, we've been in lockdown now for months, and now we've just been let out of safer at home jail, all right? And now what happens? We've got multiple, increases in outbreaks everywhere. 22 states, California, one of them. We have demonstrations everywhere, reactive outbursts by people rioting, police acting out of turn, and the National Guards that are at our door, and an underwhelming government leadership. What the heck is going on? It's kind of like the inmates are running the asylum, and our stress coping mechanisms have been totally maxed out and literally shrinking our brains, and we're talking on imaging, shrinking our brains. We've tried to seek help. We tried to self-medicate. The alcohol sales are through the roof. Substance abuse is high. And by the way, they're running out of Zoloft. There's a shortage of Zoloft. So really, what is going on out there? Research is showing that our Western diet on a global, and it's a global diet at this time, threatens our behavior. It threatens our decision-making, our mental health, and depression, which is the top driver of disability. So everybody who's got these mental illnesses are really, they're disabled. So clearly we're not feeding our brains. And because unlike Vegas, what happens in your body just doesn't stay in your body, it actually goes to your brain. Americans as a country are overfed and way undernourished. Hence, it's driving the mental disorders and the COVID pandemic. I want people to take responsibility for this pandemic because it is your responsibility to stay healthy so you do not spread it, okay? So this poor brain nutrition, it's shrinking our brain. Let me explain how that works. So you have the adult part of your brain, which is the frontal cortex. This is the smart one, okay? It thinks ahead of time, makes rational decision, and thinks for you. And then you have the primitive part of the brain. That lives right behind you. So that's the reactive part of the brain, okay? And that one is kind of this immediate gratification, fight and flight circuitry. So this leads to what we call an us versus them mentality. And that's what we're seeing out there. Our adult brains are not making rational decisions about what the media is telling us, including social media, what food to eat. It's creating political conflict, Democrats versus Republicans, racism. We've got black like me, white supremacists, and even nutritional conflicts. Okay, we've got vegans versus paleo. The list goes on, and the stress factors are hijacking our ability to make decisions. So can what we put on the end of our forks really heal our brains? And what we choose to eat affect our moods? And the research says positively yes. What you eat becomes you. Your brain is built on food and specific types of food. The brain's like this sponge, and what you put in your stomach, it gets to your brain. And we go back to the Mediterranean diet, which is basically the Paleo Mediterranean diet. We've been talking about it for a long time because it actually helps your immune system and definitely feeds your brain. So this is a blending of food science and brain science. It's cutting edge neurobiology of how food affects your cognitive function, again, the adult part of your brain. And this is how it works and why it works. Because it's the most nutrient-dense, low-calorie diet that exists, and it justifies olive oil, chocolate, and red wine, which is why we're so excited today to have Chef David Codney on our podcast. He is the executive chef at the Beverly Peninsula Hotel, and he's remarkable. He runs he's in charge of 73 line staff, so we can start with that. $14.5 million food and beverage operation, and six food and beverage outlets. There's the Belvedere restaurant, which is the fine dining. It's the only 5-diamond star dining room in all of Southern California. So 21 years it's been that way. It's gotten that
a little
award.
bit longer now, but we're happy about the distinction.
How nice. And the roof garden, the living room, the club, banqueting, and more. And he developed this really cool local hotspot, which is the barbecue series at the Roof Garden in Los Angeles. And people are loving this. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you being here. So let's talk about the elephant in the room.
Okay.
COVID-19. What were your first thoughts when you heard about this safer at home issue?
COVID's interesting because of our clientele, they tend to be of a different demographic. They're not the younger kids. So we have to be a little bit more strategic in how we do things. The benefit of us, of the luxury sector, is that we have strict guidelines that we follow. We hired in a sanitation and hygiene manager that's just strictly in charge of this. We have staff that goes down and cleans through. So, from a COVID side, to me, I look at this as any other disease that we have. We've been battling norovirus, the whole time in the hotel industry. The common flu has been battling. So this is another one along the same lines, and it's the same kind of call for it. It's just we don't have a vaccine yet.
We don't have a vaccine.
Right.
So what is in the works as far as opening things up?
So we just opened up our roof garden fully. So we have the pool upstairs, we have the roof garden, new menu, falls aligned with the paleo kind of thing that goes in, just fresh ingredients. We have a garden upstairs that we try and grow most of our herbs from. A lot of the vegetables we try and get from there as well. We opened a club bar this past weekend, which is amazing. And then we're looking hopefully to open Belvedere soon.
That's exciting.
It's very exciting.
Have you ever, I don't know if anybody's ever looked at the menus at the Peninsula, but you can go anywhere in that facility and get amazing food. In general, what do you think this COVID thing is going to affect the food and beverage industry?
It's interesting that we're seeing it now. I'd be remiss to say that it's going to go back to normal. I think we just need to really understand what hygiene is. I think people that in the food and beverage side that we've been doing for a long time with plate washing, ware washing, hand washing has been going on forever. We just need to educate now the general public so they feel safe and comfortable. I think you're going to see resurgence in outdoor dining because everyone feels more safe in outdoor dining. The indoor dining is going to be a little bit longer to lag.
Well, this is an important topic, and we have callers on the line. Callers, can we take a call? Hello, this is Jocelyne Eberstein. Who am I speaking with?
Hi, this is Jasmine from Los Angeles.
Hi, Jasmine. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
What is your question, and who are you asking the question to?
Jocelyne, I'm asking this to you. I know that what we eat affects our sleep, and I know that our sleep affects our mood. Are there certain things that you recommend not eating later in the day to help with sleep/mood?
Absolutely, and it will drive poor mood. We definitely don't want sugary processed foods at night, because what it's doing is activating your brain. And what happens is your blood sugar will spike up and then it goes straight down. And by the way, it will contribute to depression. This is a really hot topic. People really want to understand how they can get better sleep, because the stress is also activating your brain and driving the sleep. So one of the things that you can really do, one of the things I recommend, I love avocados for dessert at night. Why? Magnesium, 10 grams, tons of magnesium. Magnesium puts the brakes on your nervous system, calms it down, and it's got 10 grams of fiber. And because it's fat, it keeps your blood sugar stable all night long, so you're not activated by the spikes in blood sugar. And by the way, David, there's some desserts you can make with avocado, are there not?
Yeah, we do an avocado cheesecake we've had for a while.
Yum!
It's so funny. Everyone's the rage of avocados and how healthy they are. It's great. So it's really just a general substance that you can whip into anything. The riper the avocado, obviously the more the flavor, but you could take unripe avocados and do anything with them.
Wow. Unripe avocados, honestly?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. You have to soak them a little bit more, but they become, there's not as much flavor, and it's just huge, the density to it, so it helps out.
Oh, excellent. So, did that answer your question?
Yes, that's really helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening, and keep listening. And we're looking for calls at 323-524-2599. Thank you, David. So, do we have another caller? All right. Hello. This is Dr. Jocelyne Eberstein on It's Not You, It's Autoimmune. Who am I speaking to?
My name is Aaron.
Hi, Aaron. And where are you from?
Los Angeles.
Hi, Aaron. How are you? And Aaron, what's your question, and who do you want to ask the question to?
Well, I guess I'll ask you. It's just generally understanding how does a paleo diet really affect more senior citizens in terms of brain acuity? I mean, I know we talk a lot about it more in terms of like losing weight, getting muscle tone and such, but for someone who might have some cognitive issues or just be a little bit old, how would that generally affect your mental health in terms of things like long-term memory, short-term memory, learning new subjects, et cetera?
Well, did you want to ask me or ask Dave?
Either one, whoever wants to get it.
Dave?
Well, I can't speak to the mental side, as I don't have a PhD. I cook for a living. I could just tell you that as we get older and we see a lot more senior members come into our dining room, they do a lot better with just the paleo side of things. The less processed foods, the better, fats that we can put in our body. I think overall, your body's not fighting anything that's not natural, so there's nothing but benefits from it. I think at a certain point in life, you only benefit from the good things, so you're not fighting all the other sides.
I have a little bit to add to that. The paleo diet, although everybody thinks it's a high meat diet, it really is not, because paleo, although people think it's a caveman diet and people were out there eating the meat, they actually gathered around the water. And most of the protein that they were eating was fish. And fish is one of the top mood foods that you can possibly ever have, because, especially fatty fishes, we know the fish oils are really good for your brain, but the fish flesh, not the oils helps, but the fish flesh more replicates the chemistry of the brain. So especially the fatty fishes, and there's particular ones, a lot of them you have to have an acquired taste. Caviar is like actually the best, as well as things like oysters and mussels and clams. Those are brain food. So for an elderly person, if we can get that food in, and plus they don't have to chew it as much as they usually have to chew the meat, that's going to help their brain. And as you know, protein is a precursor for neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, acetylcholine for memory. So fish and eggs I really like for this brain food, and that's part of the paleo. Next caller, please. I forgot to thank you, Darren. Hi, I'm Dr. Jocelyne Eberstein on It's Not You, It's Autoimmune, and who am I speaking to?
Hi, this is Claire from Las Vegas.
Hi, Claire from Las Vegas. What is your question, and who do you want to ask it to?
It's for you, Jocelyne, and I was wondering, what is the best thing that I can give up food-wise that would make my brain the happiest?
Well, you could probably give up anything that's out of a bag, which is usually processed, and any kind of carbohydrates, really dense carbohydrates, sugary foods, including tropical fruits. Tropical fruits, too much of anything's a bad thing, but really staying away from the sugars. I love dark chocolate. I mean, if you get a really super high percentage dark chocolate, it will actually feed your brain and really make your brain more aware and alert. But the sugary foods will make you depressed, spike the blood sugars up, and your body, your brain needs some carbs, don't get me wrong, but always when you're eating anything that has some carbs, make sure there's fat, make sure there's protein right beside it, just boom. And I would eat the protein and the fat first before you indulge in the sugar. So say you're craving something. I would go straight to an egg, have the egg first, and then go for your craving if you still want it. But I think that your body is starving for energy. Okay, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Claire, for calling in. And thank you, listeners, for calling in. We have one more caller. Hi, this is Dr.
Betty.
Hi, Betty. This is Dr. Jocelyne Eberstein. Where are you from, Betty?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm from Brookline, Massachusetts. How are you today?
Oh, my God, I'm great. What is your question? Who do you want to ask
That's
it
great.
to?
Well, about mood swings. I heard that a diet that was very high in protein can increase the chance of mood swings. Is that a fact or a fiction?
David, what do you think?
Oh, I think you have to listen to your body. I think that's the secret. I think everybody's body's differently. Some things you react better to than others. But ultimately, I think a balanced diet is probably the best thing you can. I think when people hear high protein, all they want to do is eat protein, and then they start craving other sides. So I think it's just getting it all around, understanding, making sure you hydrate, I think is probably the most important thing you can do. But protein obviously is very important. But listen to your body. If it's too much protein, then pare it back a little bit.
An aside on that, in protein, eating protein is insulinemic, okay? Meaning it spikes insulin. So generally, if you're eating a huge portion of protein, your blood sugar will drop, right? And then you will want more blood sugar. So it's not that well regulated unless you add oil. So I recommend to my patients, we always add oil, even when you're eating protein. Put some olive oil on it.
A lot of olive oil.
And butter, by the way. Butter is so good for your brain. I mean, butter's gotten a bad rap, but butter, real butter, has butyric acid, and butyric acid feeds the intestines. And it gives fuel to your intestines, and that's where you make all of your neurotransmitters like serotonin. It doesn't just come in a bottle. All right. Did that answer your question?
Well, that's a very good answer. Thank you.
Oh my God. So David, so do you actually, I mean, when I look at your menu, I mean, I'm looking at this and you prepared mood foods. It's a very mood foodie kind of menu, right? And we're looking at, so I mean, I'm just looking at the breakfast menu. So eggs, we discussed, it has this thing called choline. Choline is a precursor for acetylcholine, which gives you brain memory, concentration, thinking. So anybody who eliminates eggs, not a great idea. I like caviar.
I love caviar.
I'm European.
I love caviar.
I'm sorry. I know it's a little bit expensive, but really almost any kind of fish eggs. So do you use any fish eggs in your kitchen?
We use salmon roe. We use some flying
that.
fish. We try and pare it back depending. A lot of people find fish eggs to be a little bit too strong, so we tend to garnish things with that. We'll pair the fish with their eggs is really what we like to do.
That's amazing. So that you do that for breakfast and
Correct.
at the breakfast store?
Yeah.
I love that. So the other things we like is I'm looking at your Canadian bacon with asparagus.
Mm-hmm. Always need a green vegetable.
Exactly. And so when we're eating these green vegetables, and by the way, when we're eating food, and some of the foods that you prepare here are really they're helpful for the brain because, especially like the vegetables, the brighter the color, the more intense food nutrition you're getting for the brain. Anything else you love?
On the breakfast menu, I think the shashuka is probably the sleeper. I love it because we do like these kind of sheared eggs that go inside. It gets braised tomatoes. We do kale that we grow upstairs in our garden. So it's really nutrient dense and it's a heavy dish. I think a lot of people are so used to, especially me growing up in the Midwest, it was eggs, bacon, and potatoes.
Yay.
And then we've kind of changed that culture now where you can still have a very dense meal to start your day off, but have it be healthy.
Well, I have to tell you that the best thing that I love about the Mediterranean diet is you get to have things like the good stuff, the dark chocolate, and the wine. So the wine is super good. Not too much, you guys. 3 ounces for a woman and 6 ounces for a man. But the dark color of the wine feeds your brain, as do the things like berries, the dark berries. We find that blackberries are going to be even better than the blueberries. So I really enjoy that kind of a meal myself. So David, I'm really super interested in what happened in your childhood. Like, how did you grow up and what were you eating when you, and who was the cook? Somebody had to cook.
Well, I grew up in the Midwest in Ohio.
Me too.
So in Ohio?
Yeah.
Go Bucks. Really?
Cincinnati.
Oh, that's big time. Oh, that's awesome. This is good. You're good people now. This is why we get along.
Well, homegrown.
This is good.
Like corn fed, right?
But I grew up, and the Ohio diet is very different. It's corn, it's potatoes, it's meat. It's along those lines. It's big people. I understand it, love them to death. But growing up, I got into this, and then I found out this whole other side of things, where like hamburger helper wasn't something along the lines, it wasn't burgers all the time and bratwurst. So, you fall in love with it, and then you realize the whole world is really around food. And, I got into the cooking side because I liked the action and it, fuels my ADD to keep going and all the cool side behind that. But then I fell in love with the professional side of it's really creative. You have this opportunity to really see the world through food. And it really brings everybody together. A good meal brings the whole group together.
Is that what happened when you were growing up? Your mom?
Yeah, so my mom was a great cook. She, went around, but I think it was really the traveling later on that really got it to me, is the ability to kind of see things and really kind of speak the same language without speaking the same language. So, food is very near and dear to my heart. I fell in love with more the gardening side now, the farming side, the sustainability, the holistic approach. I'm not a health nut, but I enjoy great food, and I think those always go together.
So what happens when you go back to Ohio? Because I know what happens when I go back to Ohio. I go, are you kidding me?
It's always good to go back. I make a trip every year. I'm a huge hunter, so I go deer hunting every October. That's just kind of the thing. And, I miss it back there. I miss the food. But it's always good to come back to LA and have a little bit more healthy side to things.
I know. It's a little heavy.
Yeah, a lot of pierogies,
Exactly. Yeah. I have one more question.
Sure.
If you could make a meal, a dinner, for 3 people that are either dead or alive, who would those people be, and what kind of a meal would you make?
Wow, that's a tough one. I think this is going to sound really weird, and I think everybody knows me. It might kind of catch everybody off guard. I've always been fascinated by the Dalai Lama for a multitude of reasons. I'd love to cook for him and really kind of just sit down and have a meal just to pick his brain. For so many different reasons, but I think he just transcends a lot, and he's really captivating when you get a chance to meet him. I've always wanted to. I've glimpsed at him before, but never really been able to sit down. So it's been kind of a lifelong secret thing. I don't think I've ever told anybody that.
That would be a vegan meal?
Yeah, 100%. It's really interesting. The vegan side of life is. I used to not get into vegans at all, and I didn't understand it. I really, truly didn't get it, because I'm just this guy from Ohio. It was like meat, and I hunt, And then I fell in love with it, realizing that, that can just be the component to things. And if you cook the vegan style or the vegetarian style, and then you add a component to it, you add a protein, you add something else to it, it really complements it, rather than looking at meat focused first. So the vegan side's funny, but there's been the better meals of my life have been vegan. Believe it or not. Yeah.
Interesting. That's interesting.
Because you have to focus on the ingredients.
Right. Well, even when I recommend my Paleo Mediterranean diet, I'm asking for 75% of that plate to be vegetables, and then a small 25% meat, and well-picked meat, because, grass-fed beef, beef's gotten such a bad rap. Grass-fed beef has a similar ratio of omega-3s to omega-6s as salmon. Honestly, So what's the diff here? And it might be a little safer from a lot of the salmons out there. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, wild salmon's running right now. Shout out to my boy Ben Heyman from Wild Local Seafood Company. He's out of Santa Barbara. We get most of our fish from him. Super nice guy. I mean, it's literally dock to door in like 2 hours. So he's a sweet guy.
That must be great.
I'm very spoiled.
You are?
Yeah, I'm very spoiled.
Hi, this is Dr. Jocelyne Eberstein on It's Not You, It's Autoimmune. Who am I speaking with and where are you from?
This is Max calling from Los Angeles, California.
Hi, Max from Los Angeles. How are you?
I'm good. I've been listening in, and this is really great. I have a question. I wanted to know sort of what your take is on the keto diet, and really sort of is that something you'd recommend over some more of a paleo diet?
Why don't you take that and then I'll jump in.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, I like keto because of the blood sugar regulation. However, you will destroy your microbiome if you eat like that all the time. So what I like is a paleo keto-esque, with the Mediterranean diet. So really, you got to focus on the plants at the end of the day. Add a bunch of good fats, but to go keto. I mean, like nutrition and diets in this country is like fashion. It's like one thing's out, then the next thing's in. But nobody's just eat like your great grandmothers ate. I mean, eat the food from God, not what man made. I mean, it's simple. Right?
Yeah. I think, fresh vegetables, I'm going to go back and just say the same thing. Fresh vegetables, organic ingredients, wild fish is important, free-range beef, free-range bison. I'm a huge outdoor man and hunter, so, I like all the wild game. I think it's very important that you just have a well-rounded diet. Sometimes if you want to go through the ketosis thing, fine, I understand it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I like to do things that are heavy on vegetables, and then I add a protein to it. So if you need a protein that day, great. If you don't want a protein, not a big deal. But, you can't go wrong with foods that are in season. I think the things that are the ripest are always the best. If you're having a tomato in February, it's kind of a moot point because there's no tomatoes that are growing in February. So yeah, they're going to taste good, but the reality is that food should be grown to eat and not food should not be grown to ship. So, always the brighter, the happier, the better off you are.
That's exactly true. And if you're going to do keto, just a short time, it's a short window. Maybe do it to get you from one side of the river to the other, and then get off and get real. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for calling.
Awesome.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. I appreciate that. Wow. What an exciting topic. I can't believe we had this many phone calls. And I really want to thank you, David, because this topic, you're so knowledgeable about it. Not only that, you're great in the kitchen.
Yeah, well, I like to be good in the kitchen. I like to be that first. Let's say that.
I know, but the thing is, you're not just good in the kitchen because, one of the things about food is that when you make a meal and it's flavorful and presentable, it increases serotonin in your brain, and then your brain is primed to absorb these nutrients, which makes me incredibly happy. So I want everybody to visit the Peninsula.
Yeah, the Peninsula Beverly Hills.
Absolutely.
Please come in and say hi, taste some food.
Yeah.
It's always good.
All right. And thank you for joining us today. This mood food subject is a giant topic. It's a link between diet and mental health, and it can't be ignored. And so that brings us to the end of the show. It's been an excellent learning experience, and I wanted to thank everybody involved in making this happen, including our callers and our listeners. I want to give my heartfelt thanks to Chef David Codney, the executive chef of Peninsula Beverly Hills. David, it was wonderful having you here. And listeners who want to follow David at Instagram?
It would be Chef Codney.
Oh, Chef Codney.
Yep.
Yeah, Instagram, Chef Codney, Codney.
Yep, and
All
the
right.
Peninsula handles the Peninsula BH.
BH, and look at those menus; they're incredible. And the rooftop garden, it's summer in LA. You got to go. And I want to thank today's sponsors on It's Not You, It's Autoimmune, Curadio CBD and Lattice Health. Curadio CBD has a new technology with a full spectrum THC-free products, including hand sanitizer, topicals, and orals for sleep and anxiety. I've used them myself. They use this technology called an entourage effect, which means it uses all the parts of the CBD, CBN, CBG, yada, yada, But what that does is it creates a synergistic effect. So these CBD, THC products actually work, which I've never found them to work personally. So the nanotechnology on their hand sanitizer, which is right here, it absorbs 10 times what a normal hand sanitizer will absorb in terms of germs. So 99.9% antibacterial. And the pain roll-on has these synergistic substances like arnica and MSM that actually personal experience showed me that it works within just one visit. I did hardly anything on it. And Lattice Health, which is a CDC, too many C's, CDC approved mask, which is cotton. A plain cotton mask does not protect you from the public. It only protects the public from you. They have a pocket in here where you can actually insert their HEPA air filter, and that will protect you from 99% of the microbes out there and contaminants in the air. So I'm so excited about this product, and I think that it should be used in every restaurant, honestly. So follow us on our socials at Facebook at It's Autoimmune, and Instagram at It's Not You _ It's Autoimmune. Twitter at its_autoimmune, and you can listen to us every other Friday at 5 p.m. on UBNGO Network. I'm Dr. Jocelyne Eberstein. It's time to feel better so you can live better. Until next time, we got this, America, where health is just a podcast away. Visit us at It's Autoimmune on Facebook. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what's going on. I want to hear if you're having any issues. And for the first 5 callers who call in, I'm offering a 15-minute health strategy session with me personally, so I can maybe look at your issues and maybe set you in the right direction. Again, thank you. Thank you, David Codney, for coming on. And a big shout out to our sponsors, eCenter Wellness, a nationally recognized institute for cutting edge health, and where we make patients partners in their health. For more information and the downloads and information from this show, go to autoimmunepodcast.com. Thank you so much for listening. I can't wait to see you again.